Hey, everybody.
And Martin Thomas.
Hello there.
How you guys doing?
Life at the end of the world, life under quarantine. It's great.
I think I'm used to it now.
I know. I'm kind of like settled in. I'm like, oh, this isn't so bad. I figured out my ways. I can still go out and get some sun without being like, I actually, I have the one friend that y'all both know who has their own pool and she never has anyone else over. And so I go over there now like once every 2 weeks and we're just like just the two of us and we'll have some snacks and drink some iced tea or whatever by the side of the pool and get in and out of the pool. Then I'm done. I'm a couple hours. I'm like, wow, I'm like refreshed and alive.
Yeah, I often find when I find myself worrying about you, I'll look on Facebook and see that you're luxuriating at that pool. And I was like, oh, it's fine.
She's fine.
I'm actually astounded that things have gotten to the point that I'm just like, you know what? I'm going for a nature hike. What? I'm going to just go find like some empty belt of green and just like some bit of woods. I'm just going to go wander in that for a while. It's just like, what the hell's happened to me?
So you do that? You just wander off in the woods?
Yeah. And occasionally just like, it just goes for a lot longer than I thought it was. Like the other day, I made a joke about, so I accidentally did a 7-mile hike, and it turns out, no, that I literally did. It was just literally, I started at one end of the green belt and just said, I haven't seen past this part before. Let's see what happens. And it turns out it's a whole lot of dry riverbed, but otherwise...
Hey, man, on one of those walks, you might bump into Alex Jones and his crisis actors.
That's true. You never know what you're going to find out there. Lyme disease could be anything.
Yeah, but between the two, I'd rather the Lyme disease.
Yeah, that's
Lyme disease you can get rid of.
There's Dennis. Hello from Ireland. No one else wants to say hello to Dennis.
Nope. Hey, Dennis.
Like, fuck you, Dennis. You never heard the story about what Dennis did.
Dennis knows what he got up to.
Yeah, he knows what he did.
But before we started, we were talking about the old, because we were all, anyone who doesn't know, we used to be on this website called spill.com together. And there was a show that we did called The League of Extremely Ordinary Gentlemen. That the original conceit was Martin and I were like, we should do a podcast about comic books.
Yeah.
And which we were roundly made fun of by Corey. We're like, no one's ever going to listen to that show. No one cares about that dumb nerd boy shit that y'all do. This guy's the most self-hating nerd you've ever met in your entire life. He's like, you got a few beers in him and he's talking about Iron Man or some shit in a corner. And this is before the movies.
No, he'll admit it ever so often. But
yeah, every so often. But so we did that podcast for several years, and it was always a challenge of structure, where Martin or I or both of us would put together this intensive document of like whatever it was that we were going to be doing. Sometimes it'd be like 4 or 5 pages of stuff then we'd like get to like 20% of it.
Yeah, every time it's like, all right, here's the plan for this time. It's going to go great. And then nope.
Well, I remember all the different times like, okay, we're going to do a show really focused on comic books because that's where we started. And then only the people who don't read comics that often would be the ones to show up, or someone, not naming names, and while the show was going well, would get too drunk, and so the last couple pages of what was planned was like, well, that's out the window now.
I think all of us were guilty at one point or another of getting too drunk.
That's why I'm not naming names, because it would be names plural.
Yeah, you're like, I said naming names. Yeah, you're being literal there, not like.
Well, it's like the saying goes: when you're dealing with a bunch of functional alcoholics, you want to focus on the function and not the alcoholism.
Yeah.
And much like, as you'd expect in a situation with a group of people who were functionally alcoholics, but the functional in one brief shining period in time when everything gelled on exactly the right level and everything was just golden, it completely fucking exploded.
Well, we were doing all this on the last years that being an alcoholic could be considered fun, or funny.
Well, yeah,
now it's just tragic, and at best, you might be somebody who has a situation that needs to be taken care of and not made light of.
In Austin, we would proudly refer to ourselves as functional alcoholics all the time and laugh about it. Now we're like, oh,
Yeah, I think we had a problem, guys. Like, that actually wasn't cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Johnny Neill's asking me, how do I text you on Twitch? Ah, old man. So, how do we would you guys like to invite Johnny Neill to the discussion?
Sure.
Yeah, let's have Johnny on.
I will send Johnny the invite code.
We can have a completely contrary opinion to everything we have to say.
He's over there yelling at clouds, trying to figure out how to get on Twitter. How do I write a message?
Not gonna lie, I'm such a Twitch agnostic that I have no idea how most of it works. Every once in a while, I tune into like a friend's stream, or I kind of have this brief moment of like, you know what, I'm gonna actually watch Critical Role live, and then I realize that I'm still like 50 episodes behind. Sorry, Taliesin.
Hey man, I get it. I'm performing on Twitch 3 times a week, but the only time I'm voluntarily going on is for this show.
Yeah, I mean, I barely understand what's happening on Twitch. I'm gonna have to sooner or later. I've been putting it off because now it looks like we've got to get a what do you call it? A Discord server, which is. Yeah, I don't even know, but I have one because I have to use it when I'm on Rage Select, which is our friend Jeff's Twitch show, but I don't know how it works. I just press the buttons he tells me to. So I got to figure all that out. The only reason we're on it is because Ben Glassdoll, who was like, we really should be on Twitch. In fact, we switched to just Twitch this time because you can't make any money at all streaming on Facebook. They're not going to give you a penny. Twitch, on the other hand, will give you money if you get enough people watching.
Yeah, so if you make partner, then suddenly they share the revenue.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, what the hell? We'll go to Twitch. I don't think we'll get to that point where it makes a lot of money, but it's not worth it's not worth throwing the possibility out the window.
No. Think big. We're gonna get Dr. Disrespect money. Come on.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is. Is that this guy? Is that Dr. Disrespect? Hey,
everybody
Johnny,
in the chat's just screaming at you right now.
Johnny, are you Dr. Disrespect?
I could be. I started college today, and I'm gonna keep going until this pandemic's over. So maybe
Neil, what are you into now?
Yeah, wait.
I saw the movie about it. Back to School.
Back to School. Hey, that's me. I'm Sally Kellerman, my English teacher.
Are you gonna are you gonna be able to do the triple Lindy? That's the important part.
Well, I can't get Kurt Vonnegut to write my book reports, so I'll do what I can about all the other. I'll do what I can. I got enrolled at the Maharishi International University. I sent them all my transcripts and everything. I've only been pecking at my BA for 30 years on 3 different continents. So I've only got 3 semesters, and I'll have my BA. And then I'm in applied arts and science. My first class started today. It's the science of consciousness, which is a pretty damn good way to start school.
I was going to say, so you decided to start with some light work.
Yeah, well, actually, I've got almost everything else done. It's just kind of the school-specific core that I have to do now. And it's each semester is broken down to 10-week blocks. With 2 classes per 10 weeks. So I'm full time, and I'll be finished in 3 semesters, and then I'm going to go for the master's in Ayurvedic medicine. I'm trying to get something that'll keep me on a healthy path, and that's kind of a big deal for me right now. So yeah, I started today. So if you have any questions about consciousness or anything, I don't really have any answers yet.
I cannot help you. Do not ask. And when I can, you have to pay me.
Yeah.
I'll be a professional.
Yeah. So I've been doing my Transcendental Meditation. I know, Harris, you've been doing a lot of meditation lately, which that's been real cool to follow your posts about that. And I've been painting and, watching movies and stuff. So yeah.
Man, I cannot get the hang of meditation, and I'm sure you hear that all the time. But I remember listening to a really good program on it and watching one, and I was so pumped, and I was like, I just can't do it.
Well, That's why you fail.
The thing for me that made the difference was finding a guided program instead of trying to like freestyle it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because that really taught me a lot about what I was doing wrong and what I was expecting. Because have any of you ever done like a float tank or like a sensory deprivation tank?
Yeah, I always wanted to.
So that was I've done it a couple of times, and the very first time I ever did one, there was this like that sense of like, all right, I'm kind of like sinking into my own brain and just kind of like off in my own little world and running out of oxygen, and that's kind of what I thought meditation was supposed to feel like. And instead, it's just no, you're really just trying to like kind of put like noise canceling headphones on your thoughts for a while. Mm-hmm. And just kind of like you're not trying to, at least the one that I'm doing is you're not trying to like not think, you're not trying to like just say your mantra and nothing else. It's more along the lines of just kind of being aware when you're thinking and then returning your attention to whatever it is you're focusing on. So maybe your breath and maybe a sound, and then just kind of like, oh, yep, that's a thought, and then just kind of like gently kind of bring your attention back and just not really pay that much mind to it. And the more you do it, the more it becomes a lot easier to either snap out of those thoughts really quickly or just realize that you've been doing nothing but focusing on your home base for a while.
Hey, I think I just meditated.
I think that when you meditate, you don't snore.
Oh, sorry.
But are you doing a guided meditation, Harris?
Yeah, I'm using an app called Calm.
Okay.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Yeah.
I picked that one mostly just because I got a discount on the subscription, so it was purely financial.
Yeah, sure. Well, I do TM, and I've been doing it about 4 years. I kind of fell off of it for a while, but how TM works is you get a mantra, and I have to use ambient headphone music. And I listen to the same one, and it's a 20-minute session. Supposed to do 2 a day. Last week I was pretty good about getting in 2 a day, but I try to get at least 1 every day. And you recite the mantra inside your head, and it's like you're blowing up a balloon inside of your skull because your thoughts are in there. You know, your thoughts are buzzing around in your head, and you blow up the balloon with the mantra, and that just ends up pushing all the thoughts. They just start bouncing off of the balloon because you're gonna get thoughts. You know, there's fish are gonna swim by. That's just how it is. But with TM, you get to where there's nowhere for them to go. You know, they try to come into your head, and if you feel them coming in, you just hype up your mantra. You just like say it faster and faster until, you know, after a while you get really good at it.
You guide all the thoughts.
20 minutes goes by like that. You know,
you guide all the thoughts into the big gulch, and then you block it off at either end, and then you just take pot shots at them, right? It's like a weapon.
It's like HUD. The thing is you don't even acknowledge you don't go, oh, yeah, I do need to, oil that hinge or something. You just kind of go, not right now, whatever the concern is, you just, if you say you ignore it, even ignoring something is an action. You just block it out by building a barrier of mantra thought, which is no thought at all, because the mantra is meaningless. It's just everybody gets their own Sanskrit term, and it doesn't have a meaning. It's just 2 random syllables stuck together that you can't attach a meaning to, or you shouldn't. I mean, anybody can do anything, but
sure.
And it takes practice. There's no getting around that.
I've tried to, and I'm with Martin. I just can't. I've never been able to bend my brain around it. But I'll be fair. I don't think it was ever something I felt like I was actively pursuing very deeply either. Mm-hmm. I'm always like, oh shit, I do need to oil that hinge. I totally forgot about that.
Let me get up and take care of that, and then I'm
going to go do that.
Right after this Star Trek is over, I'm going to go. You're like, oh shit, it started another one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's half of it, is just saying, you know what? I'm not going to do anything for 20 minutes. Boom. That's an accomplishment in itself.
That's God, that part is so hard.
Yeah. I was like, how do you do that?
Right. I mean, even watching TV is like less passive than you think it is,
of
because
course.
you're well, I mean, depends what you're watching.
Sure.
But
That's
yeah,
great.
so I started that, and that's one of the things is that it's TM based. So it's in Iowa. The 3 semesters are all distance study, but when I start the Ayurvedic medicine, I have to spend 2 weeks every semester up there for
In Iowa?
Yeah.
Which should be easier because there is literally nothing there.
Yeah, like a good place. Well, the college was started in 1971 in California, and then this other college got consolidated in Iowa, and there was this campus in Fairfield, and they went, "Hey, that's pretty cheap. Let's pounce on that." So,
Is it close to your in-laws?
a couple hours. Like everything in Iowa is far apart because it's all farms in between.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
I'm pretty excited about it.
I'm excited for you, man. I've been following you on Facebook with it. Obviously, we all follow each other pretty closely on social media. And cheers, man.
Thanks. Thanks. Hey.
That's awesome.
Hey.
So I want to talk about what we've been doing and what, watching, playing, reading to pass the time. Obviously, I don't want to free for all. So to start with Harris. Harris, what's turning you on right now?
Well, first of all, I've been playing so much Animal Crossing, it's not even funny.
You're one of those guys.
Yeah, oh yes, I've cornered the stock market at this point. I've got more bells than I know what to do with. Money literally means nothing to me anymore. But I've gotten to a point where I'm kind of only just playing that twice a day, in the morning and the evening, and that's just to collect bugs. But what I've been playing mainlining on times when I'm not working has been Ghost of Tsushima. Which
that's beautiful.
It's
like Ron if it was a video game.
Yeah, it is very much a Kurosawa movie that you control. They even have a version of it where you can turn off all the colors so it goes black and white, and it has a film grain so it looks exactly like an old Kurosawa film. But I don't like doing that because first of all, there's a lot of information that's being conveyed by color. So you want to be able to pay attention to that. But at the same time, turning off the color just hides how gorgeous everything is in that game. Like for a last stage PS4 game, it is unbelievably beautiful.
And I've heard so many people say exactly the same thing. I know people who play it and who don't even care about achieving anything. They just want to wander through the open world and look at how pretty it is. Just all these sequences with the leaves falling in the wind, cherry leaves and what have you. I'm like, yeah, that's really cool. I can't wait to play that. I have no money, so it might be a while, but eventually. Don't find your copies digital. What's wrong with you? Don't you know you're supposed to buy physical copies so you can loan them to me when you're done?
Thank you. Yeah, that's my modus is to always buy games years after they come out when they're discounted.
That's how I ended up playing Horizon Zero Dawn.
And everybody's like, what? Oh, yeah, Martin, we played that like 5 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Pong. You're into Pong and Pac-Man. And
I'm really bad about playing games years after they've come out because I'd never really finished them the first time and then getting much more into them the second time. Like I'm playing Fallout 4 right now and I'm like, must play more Fallout 4. And that's one of those games you can play for like years and not do everything in it. It's just giant, endless open world. And yeah, that's been one of those. I'll be like, I'll just play for an hour. It's 5 a.m, Chris.
Oh, yeah.
What? How is it 5 a.m?
So are you actually following the game or has it turned into the junkyard adventures of a real estate developer?
Oh, both. Yeah, because you can build your own. I mean, I've last time I did it too, but this time I'm just like, I wonder how tall I can build this, because you can build your own buildings for people to live in, and then you'll raise them, and I can do it better this time. And you don't really achieve much after a certain point. I did it. It's like Fallout Minecraft, I guess.
I spent so long in that game. It's like, all right, I'm just going to build this crazy ass hotel. And over here, I'm going to put this bar. And over here, this is Crazy Eddie's used power armor. Come on down for a deal on power armor. Only ripped in half by a deathclaw once. And just, oh, that's right. I'm supposed to be rescuing my son at some point. Oh, well.
Yeah.
He's lasted this long. I'm sure he's fine.
Yeah, it's been 200 years. The kid is resilient.
Wow. Join the resistance. Fuck you, Dad.
So that's the main game you've been playing, Harris. What's the main show you've been watching?
Let's see. We have just gotten done with Perry Mason, which was amazing. It was weird because we watched Perry Mason, Hollywood on Netflix, and Penny Dreadful, City of Angels, almost right on top of each other. And it's really weird watching three shows all taking place in LA at relatively the same time. And there's
relatively the same intersections.
Well, the part that got really weird is that City of Angel and Perry Mason both involves this radio church, and it's very central to the plot, with a platinum blonde host and her very overbearing mother, and weird little other things like, okay, both those priestesses, I guess, for lack of a better term, Sister Amy and Sister, I forget what she is, her name isn't Penny Dreadful, both also have a history of child abuse because of their mother. And that kind of came down to like there is no way that this is just like a coincidence. They both had the exact same thing going on. This had to have been based on a real person.
It's like the Wyatt Earp movies coming out in the same year.
Yeah, so it turns out it's
very much like that.
Yeah, there was a woman named Sister Amy something or other, I forget, who it was exactly like that. Like the iconography was exactly the same. The images of her, you can find on Wikipedia, are the same. And apparently she at one point just up and just disappeared. Everybody thought she was kidnapped, and they found her like recuperating in a Arizona Mexico border hospital where she said she had escaped from her kidnappers. It's a crazy story, but those have all been good. And I literally, like, right before we started recording this or started broadcasting this, watched Lovecraft Country.
Me too. High five.
Yeah.
Yes. Which, holy good goddamn.
That's my favorite show in the world.
Yeah, we've watched one episode and I'm like, well, that's it. This is as good as television's gonna get. Settle in, everyone. Next episode they'll be like, don't you think this whole racism thing is over exaggerated? We'll be like, God damn it.
Well, Chris, did they send you the preview?
No.
Because I got they sent us the first 5 episodes.
Oh, nice. I did not pursue or ask for them. I find a lot of the time with the TV shows, we have a hard enough time on our site keeping up with all the VOD movies that and the shows when they send them tend to be of not as good quality as they're going to be when they air.
Well, it was one of these things where when they what they sent us, it wasn't finished. The effects didn't look nearly as good as they did when I watched it last night. And it was a weird thing with the ADR where the ADR would not only be subtitled, but that'd be a different person. I wouldn't even say they were actors, but somebody else voicing the ADR, which is like, you would have thought they just recorded it right then and there and didn't have it. But I guess they got to have everybody back or sweeten it or something.
This is one, like I said, why I stopped asking for the shows. They all too often that's the case with them, where they're like, "Oh, this is the last one I watched was Snowpiercer," and they sent the whole fucking season for that. It was right
I remember you saying that.
And I was like, okay, and it wasn't unfinished, but it was also at like 480p. And you're like, even on a laptop, small screen, it still did not look great. It looked like a VHS copy of it.
Really?
I was like, I don't like this. And I don't like this. You're not really gauging what the finished product is like. And plus, when you're reviewing shows, like usually, like I've encouraged my reviewers when you're doing a show, keep up. So it's not, it's over. Okay, I'll binge it. No, don't do that.
Yeah.
Like watch it as it goes. And then when the last episode comes out that night, everyone's like, we're done. Let's review it.
Well, what they sent us wasn't that bad. I mean, it was still easy to see and go and just be completely blown away by. And the funny thing about it is, as you watch the episodes, you're like, this is like an anthology with a running storyline all through it. I mean, the story's intense, but they'll focus on different aspects of horror or sci-fi or even adventure serials in each episode. And it's so subtle you almost don't notice it. But watching them back to back, it's like,
So when you say it's an anthology, does it like the next episode start with a completely different set of characters or something?
No, not at all. Not at all. Like I'm saying, it's the same set of characters.
Okay.
You remember that first season of American Horror Story? How one storyline, same characters, but it was like jumping into different, like focusing on different aspects of horror throughout it. And this is similar to that, except just none of the camp, and it has so much to say, and the characters are really deep. And it's just like the longer it goes on, there's more there's little things like, ooh, this everybody here has some secrets, and it's interesting to watch them come out. And even rewatching the first episode, haven't seen the first 5, I was like, man, there's so much here that they alluded to that you just don't catch when you're going through the first time. But going back, you're like, oh, it was right there the whole time.
I was watching it, and up until a certain point, they're just kind of alluding to Lovecraftian horror stuff, but there's nothing actually happening. You know, they're not like, it doesn't seem like they're in a world that's any different than the real world up to a certain point. And I'm kind of going, this is already really fucking scary.
Right.
I've never seen anything that more convincingly goes, this was like what it was actually like for people to be a Black person in America in this period of time. And that fear and the sense of you know, I'm like, I mean, even still to not quite as bad an extent, but still not a great one. But I was like, this is terrifying. If the whole show is like this and they're just kind of using Lovecraft as a metaphor to talk about how horrible it is, I'd be fine with that. But then monsters come out, and I was like, this is good too.
Yeah.
I mean, monsters eating racist good old boy cops. Is there anything that people want to see more than that? I mean, I think that's like, right, they've got their finger on the pulse of America.
You know, honestly, they could have just left that part and just had that be the whole show, and it would have still been some of the best TV I've seen in a long ass time.
Johnny, I assume you have not seen this one yet?
I didn't watch it last night. I don't remember what I was finishing, getting caught up on, and it didn't come on HBO on demand at the time. You know,
did it not?
No, not last night. It's probably on there now. Sometimes like Perry Mason would just be on Sunday night. You know,
on
demand. But some HBO shows they wait. They put them off a few days. I'm hoping it's on there now.
It should be.
I might use the DVR on HBO. It's all squiggly, and I don't know what.
I've had that happen too.
So wait, you have HBO now?
I do. Well, it's, you know,
it should be just HBO Max now, because I thought they sent out a link that was like, just click this and you'll just have HBO Max.
Well, okay, so the thing about HBO Max is it's not, you can't see it from every platform. Like it won't show up on the Roku or the Fire Stick. They didn't make a deal. Now, but because I had HBO before through Amazon, even though I canceled that for HBO Max, what was HBO Now? Well, it was HBO Go, and now it's just HBO. I can still watch it on my Roku, but on our living room TV where there's a Fire Stick, couldn't at all. I had to stream it from the HBO Max app on my phone. It was still super HD and just unbelievable colors, like better than any movie I've ever watched. I mean, I better than 4K movies I've bought. I was like,
we're just watching through the smart TV, the Android, like the Google based smart TV has the app you can download. But yeah, it's like some of the best HD of any streaming I've seen from anything. I'm like, there's one thing HBO got right is their signal is strong.
Yeah. God, yeah. Perry Mason was so like sharp and crisp.
Yeah, crisp.
Oh yeah.
At the same time, that show was fantastic.
It really was.
I loved the ending. I loved the growth. There was a great arc. There was, an ambiguous ending, or not a lot of there was resolution without a happy ending. Like, well, this is just the way life goes sometimes.
And I like that it makes sense that he's a first-time lawyer. He's not going to win this major-ass case.
Was that a good psych? When the DA was yelling at him.
It's not going to work, Perry. What? It's not going to work. No one ever confesses on the stand, Perry. It's like,
that was great.
Do you know what show this is? This is my thing.
Right.
So it was, I have not watched anything but the first episode so far, Perry Mason. I did enjoy what I saw. I love that actor, the guy from The Americans.
Matthew Rhys, yeah.
Right. But so that's set up to be like each season is a different story type of thing, but with some running threads.
I mean, if they do another one,
they confirmed the second season.
Okay.
After the resolution of the story, when they're all in the office having their little debrief, a woman comes in and tells them who she is. She's their next client, and according to what I read, that is a reference to the very first Perry Mason, Earl Stanley Gardner book. Not meaning that that's going to be the next season.
Gotcha.
I thought that was a pretty cool little nod.
That is cool. That is cool.
By the way,
like, talk about my husband. You know,
We
For-
finally had time to do a movie night, just of like something that wasn't something I had to watch. Just let's watch something Courtney has not gotten a chance to watch. She's been wanting to, and she's like, "Well, let's watch Blind Spotting," which is a movie I've been raving about for years. How great it is! And she is a huge dork for Hamilton and all things Lin-Manuel and David Diggs. So like, I'll watch anything. She's like, I might even watch the Snowpiercer series. I like him so much. And believe me, that is not really her type of thing. But she'd watch it for that. So I'm like, okay, let's watch this. And I did not realize that Blind Spotting is filled with David Diggs Easter eggs. She's like,
Oh, really?
I was like, yeah. At one point, there's a joke where they call themselves like Calvin and Hobbes, and they used to make Calvin and Hobbes videos years before that. Like that was like a thing they put out on the internet where they were acting out Calvin and Hobbes cartoons with the two of them playing those roles. There's like all these. The thing is filled with Easter eggs. I'm like, holy shit! I had no idea any of that was there.
Huh.
That sounds awesome and like the most self-indulgent thing ever.
But you would never know they were there if you didn't know they were there, which is the way to do Easter eggs.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, we've we binged all 7 seasons of Suits just over the last.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
It was like we're caught up on everything, and you know we don't have matching tastes about everything.
Yeah.
And I
hear
was,
you.
oh, let's watch this. And I had Gabriel Macht.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's still around?
I hated
Yeah.
The Spirit so much. I hated that movie so much.
Wait,
that
which
I was
movie?
like,
The
"No, I don't-"
Spirit?
The Spirit. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Oh God, I forgot that was him.
Robert Rodriguez.
That's-
He was
Yeah.
so badly cast
Yeah, right.
in a bad movie. I was like, oh, this show's gonna suck, but let's give it a shot. So we watched it, and there's a point to all this. We're watching it, and I'm like, wow, he's really pretty good. Turns out he's a huge Broadway star and song and dance man and and a second generation actor. But I completely forgotten about Meghan Markle being part of that. So I wouldn't have been able to pick her out of a lineup. The royal family stuff just doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'm the same.
Yeah.
So in the show, I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's actually it's pretty funny because it's a lawyer show that is rarely in the court. Most of it is just them bitching at each other. It's pretty enjoyable.
I've never watched a whole episode, but I've caught pieces of episodes, and that is one of those like, oh, it's one of these workplace shows where nobody ever works.
Yeah, but they sure talk about money a lot. You know, it's a pretty enjoyable show. Great cast, very, very likable cast. Meghan Markle's terrific. I mean, her gain is Hollywood's loss because she's really terrific. But what's funny, at one point, she and her husband leave the show, and it's kind of like it's like the 2 seasons before it's over. They leave the show. Well, then the husband shows back up as a guest star. He comes back to New York because they go to Seattle. And he comes back to New York, and they go, oh, hey, Mike, how's Rachel? And he goes, oh, she's doing great. You wouldn't believe how great she's doing. And it's like, Greg. It was pretty clear what he was referring to. She never made another cameo. He ended up coming back for a whole season as like, oh yeah, I'm still in Seattle, but that was a pretty funny Easter egg. We both cracked up on that.
Kat and I have been watching Fringe because she never finished the series and I'd never seen it.
Oh,
so
wow.
we're into season 2, and Meghan Markle shows up as an FBI agent at one point, which like Kat didn't realize was happening at all. She was like, "What the fuck? Like, I forgot she was in this," because Kat is a like diehard like British royal family nut.
Yeah,
like that and true crime, and now like everything related to My Favorite Murder, I guess, are like her favorite things in the world.
I think she finally stopped mentioning the royal family around me because I'm always like, I don't have a problem with anyone liking the royal family. I just can't imagine caring about anything less.
Just waiting until they all peel their skin off and reveal that they're all lizards underneath.
The only people that care less about it than you are Harry and Meghan. They're like, yeah, I got to get out of here, man. This is too weird. It's 2020, man. Y'all
like you figure they wouldn't leave just because it was bad. It would have to be bad and really weird.
It would be really weird.
Where like every night they're looking at each other like, What was that?
She's like, I'm from Michigan, dude. We got
I'm not into this whole pomp and circumstance bullshit.
well, and
meanwhile, all the UK is like, this is why we can't let anybody marry American actresses anymore. They just keep stealing them.
Are you, Harris?
Hmm?
How in love with Fringe are you? Because
Oh God, I love the hell out of this. Except for the fact that like when they lean into the body horror, every once in a while, like most of the time, it doesn't bother me because it's like it's TV CG, so who cares? But every once in a while, they manage to like find the one thing that like twigs me out and just makes me go. Ugh. Like there was an episode in the first season, pretty early on, where some dude's got what looks like a fucking centipede wrapped around his heart.
oh yeah.
And that was just like, okay, that's an issue I didn't know I had. Thanks for that.
That's a
Remember
weird.
one where they were traveling through walls and then they got stuck? That one really skeeved me out real bad. Like, could you imagine walking up on that? You know, like it's a show that feels like it's been forgotten, and it was brilliant. And unlike X-Files, it had a story that worked from the beginning of the show to the end of the show.
No, I definitely disagree with you there, because I think that the X-Files started with a great story that was building towards something, and then they were like, we literally lost track of all the shit we built into this story, and we don't want to take the time to figure it out. So they're like, we're just going to end it. It's over. Don't worry about it. And now here's a werewolf.
And here's 3 movies and a summer, replacement. It's like, it's over, man. It's over.
I mean, that's pretty much what Battlestar Galactica did. It's like, oh, yeah, we have a plan. We'll figure it out eventually, but we have one.
It's literally in the credits where they have a plan, and then they didn't. And we're like, guys, you said it every week and you lied. But Fringe, it was one of those, felt like they didn't have a plan till about the halfway point, and then they're like, ooh, I've got a plan. And at that point, the show kind of takes a different shift and starts going towards this other thing, and it sticks the landing of that other thing. It's like, we actually end this.
How many seasons is Fringe?
What, 6, right? 5 or 6?
5.
Oh,
5.
wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Great cast. I love the whole premise, the dual, whatever. Anyway, talking about a 10-year-old show, but
hard to believe it's 10 years old. Jesus Christ.
Well, Bat 42 is pulling in the deep cut.
When I think of some of the stuff that
Songs in the Key of X, man, that was an amazing album.
When I think of the stuff that we were just getting into on Leog, we'd be like, oh my God. And realizing how long ago that really was. Like, oh shit.
Yeah, remember the adventures will never happen?
Yeah. We all remember that. Wasn't that Johnny who said that, I think?
No, somebody said that.
No, we're teasing you. It was Martin.
Oh.
It was the Avengers. He famously made this. He gave a big speech about how we'll never be an Avengers movie, and we're all like, we don't agree with you. And then everyone won't let it go, even now.
You said that about Spider-Man back on the real deal. Nope, I got the inside scoop. It's never going to happen.
Dude, if we went point for point on like who was wrong or right about stuff on Leog's and predictions, I think we'd all come out about even.
Except Joe Parsons.
Except Joe Parsons, right?
Yeah, well, that's just cheating.
He had kind of an uncanny skill predicting what was going to happen in upcoming superhero films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jim Parsons from...
No, Joe Parsons from Master Pancake Theater.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what? How long was I gone?
Yeah, we kind of retooled the show. He wasn't doing anything after Big Bang Theory, and we're like, hey, you want to do another nerd property? He was like, yeah, sure.
Before. This was before.
Yeah, I was going to say. Did he also resurrect the Leog just to invite him back?
We did try to have him back on a couple times for The Gathering for stuff, and I think, did he actually come once, Martin? I can't remember if he did or not.
Joe Parsons? Yeah.
Did he make it for one? We tried to get him to do more. I remember we were trying to get him to come for the final Avengers film, and we never could make it work.
Right. Yeah, with his schedule. I think he'd gotten a new job.
But I've been rewatching Community because people were having this argument online about what was the funnier show, Community or why am I blanking on the name of it? The Good Place. And I was very strongly in favor of The Good Place being not only the funnier show overall, but the better show. And
I got to go with Community.
See, some people agree with me. Other people were like on Community, and Community won, but it was like a narrow margin. And I was like, I've been meaning to do a Community rewatch anyway because I did really like it. I'm going to do it. And my conclusion was any episode that was not a completely meta episode is just okay. Like they're like, it's all right. It's pretty standard stuff. The meta episodes are brilliant. They're just like, wow. Like the Law and Order one, I forgot how fucking good that is. I'm like, holy shit, this is prime genius satire of television. But those were not the bulk of the episodes of that show. The bulk of the episodes were just kind of all right and had some funny moments, but they were just kind of loosey goosey. And so much of it was is going to be so of its time, like will not be evergreen. And I feel like The Good Place was a lot more, had a singular mission from the get-go, was more steadily funny throughout, and came to a significantly better ending.
Oh yeah. Community ending was just a drag. Like,
just a season.
It was like everybody kept getting picked off.
Exactly.
Like who's going to be on this week? Oh, good. Ken Jeong is here.
Whoever said that.
Yeah, I think it helps The Good Place had like a very solid foundation and mission the entire way through. Mm-hmm. Like it doesn't deviate from its initial premise of, the philosophy of what does it mean to be a good person? What does it mean to grow?
Yeah. I don't want to take anything.
The final episode in mind when they wrote the first episode, just which that doesn't happen enough. Fringe compared to the X-Files.
No, the studio went in and said, "Hey, what do you mean you want to end the show?" And they're like, "We told you from the get-go. We had this many seasons written. That's all we want to do. We do not want to do more." And they were like, "Okay, it's a hit. It's a hit, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, we know." And they ended it exactly when and where they wanted to. And you end up with a show that people will be revisiting for decades to come.
With one big story.
Now, whereas I think Community will continue to be revisited as well. It'll be revisited more on an episode by episode basis, as opposed to let's watch the whole damn show.
I haven't watched it since it went off.
Yeah, they're like said, going back and watching the meta ones are great. Those are really, really solid. The paintball episodes are terrific. Those are still so, especially the second one. People always praise the first one more, but the second one where they do it as a Western, that was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and the John Woo. They did the John Woo angle on it. Yeah.
But also say a little Kim Jong goes a very long way.
Yeah, it does.
And they definitely overplayed the Kim Jong hand on that show.
Yeah.
For my purposes, Martin's given me the whole eyeball thing. I was like, okay, Martin, you would have taken more Kim Jong?
Not more, but it was enough. Especially at the point where you kind of like you're going like, listen, we got to lose Chevy Chase, so just bring more Kim Jong. It was a trade off.
Dude, they had the one episode where it was the parody of sitcoms, weirdly, because they all kind of were in a way, but where it was in Abed's head and Fred Willard was playing Chevy Chase. I'm like, make that happen, please.
Yeah, right.
Like, why wasn't this a thing?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be weird if he was your real doctor? You're like, oh yeah, that guy delivered my baby. Then you watch him and he's got his little dick out on hangover movies. And it's like, my fucking doctor up there. I probably have 3 weeks to live because of him.
Imagine the poor people who saw him and then immediately saw him in Knocked Up. It's like, wait a minute, he's not an actor. That's my actual doctor. What the fuck? What weird ass cinema verite shit are they doing?
Is this really my child? This is central casting, baby.
Well, in his stand-up, he says he was just a general practitioner. He really plays.
Oh, he was just a general practitioner. Oh,
that's how he's. I mean, it's not me saying that. It's him going like, "Listen, I was just a general practitioner. It wasn't a big deal. I wasn't making a lot of money at it. So what I gave up wasn't all that."
I go to see Dr. Spaceman, so nobody. It's a 30 Rock reference. There's Dr. Spaceman on there. You don't remember his name's spelled Dr. Spaceman, but like he's like it's Spaceman.
That just reminds me of the Ass Man episode of Seinfeld.
Oh,
good
yeah,
Lord.
yes, man.
I've been loving a lot of the if Seinfeld was still on stuff that's been going on. There's been a lot of I've seen takes on what Seinfeld would be doing, the characters during the COVID thing that we're like, okay, that's good. I mean, of course, Kramer's the one with the conspiracy theories. George
Newman is always trying to infect Jerry.
George has discovered the joys of being able to mutter stuff in a crowd that's offensive and no one knowing it's him. He's got a mask on.
Well, I think Atlanta is basically Seinfeld in Atlanta from George's perspective. Because Paperboy's Jerry, right? And
is he?
Keith Stanfield is Kramer.
Kramer, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, except for,
I can see where you're going with that.
So they have a baby Costanza, but
No, I get Lakeith Stanfield as Kramer, but Paperboy is Jerry. I don't know about that.
he's the star. He's the actor. He's the showbiz guy. And Donald Glover is definitely George.
George.
Oh, I can't put this up fast enough. I've got an opportunity I really need to shit on right now.
Wow. I gotta admit, that never would have occurred to me, but the more you go with it, the more I'm like, you're not wrong. My brain is just having a hard time wrapping around it.
I'm gonna need a minute to process this. This is like
now you'll see it. Now you'll be like, oh, Paperboy.
Now, one of you watchers, it is your duty to go out there and take clips from that show and add in the Seinfeld music.
there's absolutely no way someone hasn't already done that. People have been starting putting like the Curb Your Enthusiasm music over like Trump speeches.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's written for it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Martin, I haven't asked you. What are the things that have turned you on with right now with watching, reading, playing, what have you?
Okay, so yeah, Lovecraft Country is the big thing, and also Perry Mason. The downside of me getting that 5-episode preview is that, man, I gotta wait 6 weeks before I see a new one. It's kind of a bummer. Because coming home Sunday night to watch whatever's on HBO had become my thing. Especially with Perry Mason back. I mean, I'm still gonna do it, but it's just not quite the same. What else? Because I've been looking for stuff to get into, and I'll jump into something for a few episodes. There's a show on Netflix called Fallet, and it seems to be like a Norwegian crime show, but it's it's slightly comedic.
You've watched everything when you're like, it's a Norwegian comedy crime show.
No, dude, I am totally
IKEA, and they have to get out and eat meatballs. And
I have gotten so into Norwegian crime stories. Since
those are dark.
Yeah.
Not the subject. It's just they always film it when it's like night for 7 hours. 7 months a year.
Yeah, but there's so much snow blindness going on. But yeah, ever since we saw The Snowman and was just like, oh, that movie's awful, but people are mad because the book was good. So it's like, all right, let's check this book out. It's like, oh shit, that really was good. And the writer Joe Nesbø, like The Snowman, is like number 8 in those Harry Hole books. Yeah. He's written some other crime book, and he wrote The Headhunters.
Yeah, Headhunters is an amazing movie.
So you get into that and then start watching other things, like was the American version Cold Pursuit with Liam Neeson. Mm-hmm. Then there's even the whole time watching, I was like, this just feels like it's an American adaptation of a Norwegian crime film.
See, if I realized
sure enough, it was.
Yeah,
I'll send you more links when I discover stuff, like, because I watch a lot of that stuff too. I love the Norwegian version of that, In Order of Disappearance, is fucking fantastic. And the American version's not bad either. Cold Pursuit, you're like, this is not terrible.
No. I kind of liked Cold Pursuit a little bit better, but they were both good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was flipping around and saw that there was one that was like, they were like, it's got a comedic angle, and I was like, all right, is this gonna be like Angie Tribeca, where it's all dry humor that's actually not really that funny? But no, it's telling a straight up story, but it's still funny. But you have a detective. She's a hard ass who's like a dirty Harry who is not playing by the rules to the point where she fucks up. And they're like, yeah, you're not getting any more chances. And you got a bumbling British detective who cries a lot, and they're like, yeah, we don't know if we can still use you. So there's this murder that comes up, and it's somehow like, all right, this is both of your last chances. You got to partner up and solve this thing. And I've only watched a couple episodes, but it's been pretty funny. So I'm enjoying that.
What's the name of it again?
Fallet, Fallet, and some of it's in English, some of it's in Norwegian, but there's always subtitles.
Netflix, you said, or
yeah, Netflix.
Okay, yeah, I try to watch more of the TV shows that are, the foreign. These are big hits in a foreign country, and I so rarely actually end up with the time to watch them.
Same here.
And sometimes it's well worth it, and sometimes they just like I watched Dark, and I got like 2 seasons into Dark. I was like halfway through the second season. I was like, oh, I have so much shit to do. I got to take a break from it for a while. So I took a break for like 3 weeks, came back. I had no fucking clue what was going on.
You couldn't remember anything, right? Like I watched a couple a while back, and then watched some more, and I was like, I don't remember. And then they all look alike, and that when they go from the past to the present or whatever, I'm going. I don't know when I am right now.
Yeah.
I can't tell anything anymore.
Well, there's like 3 million characters. And then there's 3 different time periods versions of the 3 million characters with new characters introduced every time they go to a different time period. And I want to go, you guys do know that time travel stories are complicated, right? And you're just doing everything you can to make the audience have to keep a running journal with pictures just to keep up with what the fuck is going on.
Oh, so it's everybody's favorite parts of Lost.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Lost, I never had a trouble following really. But this one, I'm like, oh my God, there's just way too many characters, way too much time back and forth stuff. I mean, it's well written, but it feels like it's like an 8-novel series they've crunched into 3 seasons, and you're like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Well, even the simplest, most smartly written time travel stories, when you stop and go back, you go like, no, they fucked up right there. This wouldn't have worked.
Right.
So the only one that I have never been able to poke holes in has been Bill and Ted.
Yeah. I forget who it was that was saying, somebody big was saying, yeah, the one we found that actually creates a rule and sticks to it all the way through is actually Bill and Ted. I'm like, fuck you. No way.
Yeah, if you go back and watch it, even like Bill and Ted, like Bogus Journey still follows the exact same rules. It works.
Yeah, but they got that whole thing like, okay, I'm going to remind myself to make sure I put something in this drawer. And like, oh, now it's here. I was like, okay, hold on a second.
Harris, you might actually like the show I discovered on HBO that plays here. It's HBO Asia, but it does play here on HBO Max, called Half Worlds, which is total urban dark fantasy. And it's done by this director I really, really like, Joko Anwar, who's been doing just tremendous stuff with horror over there right now. He did Impetigore and Satan's Slaves that are both on Shudder, and they're both great movies. And this is like, modern gods walk among us type thing, in this dark, poor city, and it's really good.
Ooh, I'm gonna check that one out.
Yeah, it's so up your alley.
That does remind me of something I saw maybe a couple of months ago that I never got to talk about. Was waiting for the Black Widow. Jonesing for that. A great alternative is this movie Villainous that's on Hulu. It's a Korean movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is everything you could do with the Black Widow if you didn't need her to sell lunchboxes.
No, you're right. Villainous is a lot of fun. It's a little sad.
Oh, yeah.
What nationality is it?
Korean.
Okay, cool. Hulu's weird. It's hard to find stuff on Hulu, and then
their interface
stuff, and you're like,
awful.
what's that doing on Hulu?
Yeah.
They finally updated the interface for Hulu like 2 weeks ago or something. Yeah, there's a new interface on there now, and it's a little bit better. It's still not there. I'm like, guys, just do what Netflix does. Just do that. It doesn't have to look like its own thing. They got it down. You're not going to do better than that. And so like HBO's doing that. Disney does that. Shudder does that. Just do that. Right? You don't need this other weird like Amazon Prime has the same problem.
It does.
It's hard to find anything on that fucking thing.
The thing that drives me crazy about Hulu is that the stuff they have sometimes makes no goddamn sense. I've been binging Forged in Fire just because I needed something to watch whenever I work out. And they've got season 4, 5, and 6. Where 1, 2, and 3? Who the fuck knows? Season 7? No, just you like these 3 seasons? Good, because that's all you're getting.
Yeah, Hulu's rights that they get for TV shows are so strange. They're like that, like, oh, we only have rights to seasons 2, 7, and 9. You're like, what? Why would you want that?
We started trying to watch Good Girls, that show with Christina.
Oh yeah.
So we watched that when it was on. Well, no, not live. We only watched it on Hulu, and then it was like, oh, they got another season. I thought they wrapped it up, and so on Hulu. We looked, and it starts at episode 9. I'm like, well, where are the other 8 episodes? Why would you have this? Why would you even say you have any of it if you're going to start at episode 9?
Yeah.
I wish all of them were like email, that you could just click on a movie and delete it. Like, I'm never going to watch that. Never going to watch that.
Uh-huh.
Instead of having to scroll, or add it to your watch list that then has 5,000 movies that you're never going to get to.
Or else it's just like, okay, look, I clicked on this once when it was late at night and I was really high, but I'm never finishing. Holy moly, stop trying to encourage me.
I do, because Netflix used to have the thing where you could build your own list of stuff that you're actually interested in and just save it to that list. So then you go, okay, I'll just go back to my list when I'm looking for something to watch. But mine doesn't do that anymore. I don't know if y'all's does, but I can't make my own reserved list.
Yeah,
no.
It's weird too.
I could do that. As a matter of fact, I was doing it today. But what's weird to me is when I go through, I feel like I see like a lot. I keep rolling around to the same movies, and I'm like, oh, I guess they don't have that much. But then if I'm on somebody else's profile on our account, I'll see all kinds of movies pop up. I'm like, well, hold on. How come they never offer this one to me? I didn't even know this was on here.
Because their algorithm decided you didn't want to see it.
It's all about what you see on the front. You have to go to the actual search. And then if you go to the search, they have it divided up by genre. And then you hit that, and it'll show you literally everything that they have.
Honestly, like with my daughter, she has categories that I don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's like, how is that?
But that's just like, I mean, it creates categories based on, the algorithm of what she watches. Right. So it's like, oh, this is the kind of stuff you like. So we'll create this category for you of stuff we've tagged as being fitting in that subcategory. It does the same thing for you.
It seems like it would still be available to you.
It's like, is there one on yours that says weird Norwegian dad shows?
Well, it just seems like across the board, algorithms are bullshit. It's like store policies.
Yeah. Well, it's especially if you haven't set up your own profile on there, because then it gets really screwy. My mother and father-in-law, my father-in-law likes watching the really weird shit on Netflix. Like, he's gotten into like all of the Turkish historical dramas. Whereas my mother-in-law just wants to watch Midsummer Murders and Great British Bake Off. And watching Netflix trying to figure out the through line between the two is kind of amazing.
That's why I love having the different, you have the different channels for whoever's watching, because God knows I'd go crazy without that. I'd be like, what? Why are you watching that? Most of them have that now. Amazon finally added it. Can't believe
it took forever before it finally showed up on the Apple TV store, which is why all my Amazon Prime is like 90% weird, like pseudo documentaries about cryptids.
But they finally did the number one thing I wanted them to do on Netflix, which is, and you have to go on your computer to log in to do it. You can't do it through your app, but you can make them stop playing the goddamn show just when you hover over the thing.
Yes, I just did that yesterday.
Shit, I need to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate that. You're like, oh my God, I literally looked away from the TV for a second, and it's like, here, you want to watch this? We'll play it for you.
Oh, and especially when you don't realize like how loud it's going to be. It's just like, turn it radio for 5 seconds. All right, here's all the warrior nun you can take. It's like, I thought somebody was in the house. What the fuck?
I gotta say, Netflix really aims for the teen audience too.
Oh, it totally does.
Like everything that comes up is super teens, fucked up teens, junkie teens, whatever. I'm like,
well, apparently the Kissing Booth into All the Boys I Loved Before just like did major numbers, so they just kind of realized like, all right, we're leaning into this.
Yeah, well, I mean, they still get some originals, I think, that are just solid, good stuff. That show they did with the Umbrella Academy second season, I thought was terrific. The first season was just okay.
Yeah, the first season was just okay. It was kind of dry. It picked up near the end, but this second season, oh boy,
really?
Yeah,
I gave up on the first one pretty quick.
No. I kind of did too.
The second one I started, and it was just when the guy was in the bar fight and his ghost buddy was there. I'm like, Shut up. Just leave me alone, Umbrella.
I from the first season, I know what you mean. Bella talked me into watching the end of it, and then we went right into the second season, which I was planning to bail on, and I'm totally into it. I'm loving it.
And I mean, despite issues with it, the one about the Immortal Warriors with what's her face from Men Max
Old Guard.
Oh, Old Guard. Yeah,
I thought it was pretty good.
It was.
You know?
It was.
Old Guard was good. Have you seen Project Power yet?
Yeah, I watched it on Friday. That's actually pretty good too.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it would have been a rental back in the Spill days. I'm glad that I saw it for free.
But rarely stuff on Netflix is stuff I'm like, oh, this is stuff I'm like the most excited about. It's always, I mean, HBO Max still consistently puts out some of the best television out there, no question about it. And filmic originals. I still need to watch Bad Education, which a lot of critics are putting on their best of their year
That's
list.
right. I keep planning to watch that, and I always forget about it.
Yeah, it's supposedly terrific. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But there's so much stuff to discover on there when you go off the main screen and you're like, show me, like I love going to there, show me every show HBO has ever made, which is huge. And you're like, I always meant to watch John Adams, that kind of shit.
I mean, just the fact they have all the Studio Ghibli films, that alone just makes it worth the price for me.
Have any of you guys ever watched Succession?
No, I keep meaning to. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It really, I kept putting it off because I was like, it seems funny, and Kieran Culkin is always funny, but I don't know. I wouldn't really want to watch a show about shitty rich people who are just shitty to each other. But just one day I let it play, and oh my God, and I was like, wow. I'm mad at myself for passing the show up for so long.
And there's so many weird twists. The weirdest twist to me was when the family counselor came out and met him on the ranch, and then he dove into the pool. Griffin Dunn. That was just so funny. Like, and he didn't break his neck or anything.
No, nothing like that.
It was just such a funny, weird thing to have in the middle of this story. Where, this guy's gone out and scored heroin with a bunch of hillbillies, and he wanted to kill his brother's dog and all that other weird shit. And Griffin Dunn's like, doopy doopy. He dives in. That was so funny, man. I'm just like, what's going on here? These people are all insane.
I will put that back on the list because it's one of those, a while ago it was, and I just kind of forgot about it. I definitely need to start that one. Everyone says, I mean, that thing's been winning awards and everybody's been raving about it. So that's, up my alley.
I mean, look, it's impossible to watch everything that's been praised. No. It's just not enough time.
But
even in this pandemic.
Praise, man. It's
There's only so many hours, and they keep putting new stuff out everywhere. Like now that all of Avatar and Legend of Korra is out on Netflix, it's like, well, there's my time.
I created myself a Google document that I put on my, on the Google Drive, which is free, so I can access on my phone or anywhere that I am, of just everything that I'm like, I've confirmed I'm interested in this, organized by streaming service that it's available on. So it's like, oh, if I'm like, I just want to watch something, I don't know, I can look at my phone and go, oh yeah, that's right, that's on that, and put it on there. And I found that the most amount, weirdly, the networks that I find the most amount of like movies specifically that I'm like, oh, that's right, I forgot about this obscure little movie that everyone had told me was great, is Hulu and Amazon. But they're all buried really deep into them.
Yeah,
on the front
Amazon though, you can search for Amazon, like you can enter Ennio Morricone, and you'll get a list of movies. It's like you can enter the most just whatever Charles Bronson movies. They have a really great interface for search, but they have a horrible interface to just look at and scroll through.
Yeah,
if you're searching for something, it's a nice search field and a huge library. Just what I watched out of nowhere because it came up. I watched Blowout and Romeo is Bleeding Friday night. It was like I hadn't seen Blowout in forever. The movie's fucking great.
Which version was it? The Italian or the American?
No, that's Blow Up. This was the De Palma.
John Travolta.
Yeah, and speaking of Perry Mason, it's like I always think that the first thing John Lithgow did was World According to Garp.
I always think that too. It's not.
And he's in that as a creepy hitman, and he's just
that's right.
creep.
It's amazing how many villain roles that John Lithgow played before he eventually went on to do 30 Rock. Not 30 Rock, Third Rock from the Sun.
For Brian De Palma, he was a good good bad guy. I mean,
Yeah.
it was like when he started off, it was when he first got big, it was World According to Garp, and then the one with Deborah Winger and Shirley MacLaine. And
Terms of Endearment.
Terms of Endearment. He was the nice grocery store manager.
No shit. God, it has been a long time since I saw that one.
Yeah.
But I was like, meanwhile, somewhere Ben Mendelsohn is like, tell me about it. You know.
But Perry Mason's John Lithgow impression was just goddamn, just gold on top of gold, man. Every time he would do John Lithgow.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you can tell he spent a lot of time with him. Probably making fun of him when he got home.
They compared impressions of him. And that was just really funny. He's like, "Oh no! What if he said?"
Well, what got me was that when at his funeral, where he had the actor who played his son, I was like, "Damn, that guy's got him down. That's weird." I was like, "I gotta find out who this is," and I looked everywhere. On IMDb, no uncredited, and then I started looking at forums, and it's like, oh, he recognized him because that really is his son.
Yeah.
It's like,
okay, thank you, Jesus Christ, that was bugging me.
Yeah,
yeah, that was great too. It's like, no, just put it all in a consignment shop. I don't give a shit.
I know. By the end, like finding out that it really was his son, it's like, I wonder if those were written lines or did they just let him riff?
That was just a lot of therapy on screen right there.
It's like, yeah, my dad died. Just put him in the mausoleum with mom. I don't give a shit.
Man, Lithgow had so many great
Where are the
parts.
kids? Where are the grandkids? He didn't care.
I never really watched that much of Third Rock from the Sun, although I watched enough to go, I like this. I just was not in a sitcom phase of my life.
Yeah.
But I was like, wow, Lithgow's great on this. He's been great. He's even makes movies that are not that great, like Raising Cain, totally worth watching.
Well, I like him in everything.
Yeah.
I like him in movies I hate.
Yeah,
I actually saw him on Broadway doing during Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, where he was playing the lead scoundrel role. It was amazing.
Huh.
Oh, I like that.
That's
Who was
pretty
he
cool.
with? Who was
No one I had heard of before. I'd seen the guy who was playing opposite was I think he took over the role Matthew Broderick's role in The Producers after Matthew Broderick left.
But he'll always be John Warfin from Buckaroo Banzai to me.
right?
Sorry. Once again, Chris finds an avenue to slide in a Buckaroo Banzai reference. That's a movie I like.
Always room for Buckaroo Banzai.
I feel like you always
Someday we're gonna get Buckaroo versus the World Crime League. I'm just saying. Hopefully before Peter Weller actually dies.
Yeah, I don't care. They can reboot it with all new actors. I'm fine with that. I just want to see more like really well done produced
I
stories.
kind of prefer it at this point. It'd be Buckaroo Banzai and the ARP anger.
right.
Buckaroo Banzai and the irregular heartbeat.
Buckaroo Banzai in the early bird special.
Fighting against the imminent closing of Luby's.
Not my damn cafeteria, monkey boy.
Actually,
Hard to drive through a mountain when you're using a walker. That's
valid question. Did you like Lithgow and Pet Cemetery? I criticized him in that movie for coming into it like he was bored. He's like, why am I even here? Oh yeah, the paycheck. Like I never would have thought Fred Gwynn is better than John Lithgow, but in that particular instance, I knew that he was.
Fred was better than anybody.
Oh God, I forgot about you and Fred Gwynn.
I love Fred Gwynn.
Yeah, I got it. I mean,
The last holdout for Car 54. Where are you over there?
Lithgow wasn't good in Pet Cemetery, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, but that movie completely sucked dick. So
Yeah, it was.
it was really not worth his time to put in a good performance.
That movie played in theaters like a week, and then it was gone. You know?
Yeah,
I'd
honestly,
forgotten that they had made it, to be perfectly honest.
We saw it at South by Southwest, where a movie will get its dick sucked if people from the movie are there, and the cast was there cheering loudly until they were laughing in tears through the second half of it. It was like, yeah, this movie is all kinds of unintentionally funny.
Was not. I mean, the first movie's not that great, and
Sure.
I'm going to say it. The book is the most overrated of the Stephen King books. People are always like, it's the scariest thing he ever wrote. I'm like, You have an odd relationship with your pets, buddy. I did not find it frightening at all. I thought it was silly.
I'm finding The Stand to be really goddamn relevant right about now.
Sure.
Well,
a lot of things are.
Except, unlike in The Stand, God is not going to show up at the end of the COVID virus, put his finger down, and go, "There's your ending."
Give it time. 2020 is not over yet.
Now I don't have to read it. Okay.
Maybe not God, but
I was going to read a 40-year-old book. But I spoiled it.
I'm reading his newest book right now, The Institute, which I'm like, come on, man. This is obviously a Shining sequel. You just didn't want it, for some reason, didn't want to make it into a Shining sequel. It's like, hey, there's a bunch of kids with psychic powers in an evil institute that has kept them all and is studying them and doing tests on them. And we swear it's not connected to The Shining.
Are you sure it's not just the New Mutant script?
I had to think about groups of children. He's like the Henry Darger of science.
maybe it's connected to Firestarter.
Yeah, it could be that too. The grand unified Stephen King precocious psychic child theory. Don't know. Anyway, we're going to wrap up our live broadcast here and say goodbye. Thanks to everyone for watching. It's always fun to have a reunion with these gentlemen.
Yeah. Miss seeing you guys in person.
Yeah, someday we'll actually do this in Chris's house again.
Yep. Someday.
Someday.
I've got a lot of cleaning to do. Shit. I was like, well, no one's coming in. Time to finally fulfill my dream of living in squalor.
I knew if I just waited.
It's my time is now.